Hey, sod folk.
No.
This is Sean the sign guy. This is my wife, Mary, the brains behind the operation. So these are the top 8 things that we found that are crucial to selling on Etsy. We've been selling on Etsy for at least 10
years.
10 years
or more.
10 years or more. Mary kind of figured out what works, what doesn't work. So again, she's the brains behind the operation. But this is a list that we put together that we thought would be informative to you all if you're interested in selling on Etsy and how to grow and actually make money on Etsy. And so number 1,
understand the product that you're going to sell.
And what is it? Check out. So understanding the product is obviously doing some sort of market research. Try to figure out what others are selling and making sure that you're selling a product that you're totally confident
Supply and demand. Make sure there's a demand for the product that you're selling.
Fair enough.
Because we have figured out with wall lettering that it is oversaturated right now with all sorts of people. You can go out, buy Cricut, buy whatever, and
you can even buy it from Walmart now.
Yeah.
And
between the wall lettering coming out of China and everything else, for us, it just is not as profitable as it used to be. So before you would start selling it, you want to make sure it's going to be profitable for you.
And only you know what's profitable for you. You have overhead, equipment cost, material cost, where you're buying your material from, and so on and so forth.
Right, and make sure the copyright laws.
Yes.
Before you start.
Yes.
Make sure that you have permission to sell or can sell certain designs and things like that. Don't just. We've learned a few times.
And I'm going to touch on that. So we've actually bought designs, and we actually bought the extended licenses from other companies. Come to find out, there's specific fonts that are in that artwork that we don't own the copyright to. We had the artwork, and it's a very confusing situation.
It is. So don't just assume that just because you bought the design from
it's yours.
Some company that you can still use it, because the people that do the fonts and stuff, they will still come after you.
They're very adamant about protecting their copyright because that's how they make money, is by selling their fonts. So just make sure.
Just do plenty of research before you start selling the product you want to sell, and make sure that one, there's a demand for it, and another, that you have the right to sell it.
Absolutely. Very good points.
The next thing you want to do is you want to read the Etsy community guidelines, because that's another thing. People don't read those, and they get suspended, they get their shops closed, and they don't understand why.
You need to be very informative, and the more information that you have, the better off that you're going to be, and the more aware that you are of what's happening at that specific time. Algorithms and companies change, just like Etsy. Etsy's changed dramatically over the last 10 years since we've started. And so not everything is...
They're a private company, so they basically can tell you what you can and cannot sell, kind of like Amazon. Amazon does the same thing. So you need to read the guidelines and make sure you can sell what you want to sell, because they don't allow some things on their site. They do have, our experience is they have good customer service. We've had problems with them. Now, I have read that some people do not, but our experience with them has always been good.
We've had a good experience, and I think that's what makes us still successful, I guess.
You've always been able just to talk to somebody. Now, I have read that some people have not been able to do that. So, it's I guess it's all in different experiences, but we've had good experience with their customer service.
So that brings us to number 3. And
make sure you figure out your profit margins, because that was our biggest problem. We figured out our profit margins, but some people don't. And so we're competing against people that don't figure out their profit margins, or companies out of China that sell stuff for pennies, and we can't possibly compete.
And think about your shipping costs when you think about that stuff too, your boxing, your packaging, and the time that it actually takes to do that stuff.
Because, you have boxing, you have, all your shipping materials, whatever it is you put into that box, whether it be instructions, whatever. And people don't figure that in. They just don't. Yep. They don't figure in their fees, the cost that goes into shipping, the material cost, the shipping of the materials.
Yes.
To you. People don't think about that.
The logistics of getting your material, where you're getting it from, There's a lot of different suppliers. I'm not going to name any here, but you could spend $20 on a roll of vinyl here, and you can get it for $16 over there, which basically drastically, reduces your vinyl cost by pennies, and pennies turn into dollars. So it makes a difference. You have to figure every last detail
Figure it
out.
out. And if somebody says, "Well, I can get it cheaper," let them go get it cheaper,
That's
because
been our
it's not worth
philosophy.
losing money to just make somebody happy. If they want to order from some other company that can do it cheaper, that's just how sometimes it has to be.
And that's business.
That's
You just got to
business.
figure it out and kind of move on.
Yeah, we're not going to lose money.
No. So that brings us to number 4. And number 4 will be
Make your listing. So when you make your listing, you have to have good pictures. That's what people see first, is your picture.
yes.
So make sure you have a good picture, and make sure you have a good title that is very descriptive and clear. As with your description, it should be very clear as well. Don't put a lot of stuff in there you don't need, because people do not read anymore.
No. We there was a
They don't
point in
read.
time where you could put all your information down in the listing, and people only read so much of it. So you want
They
key
don't.
points up top, your biggest message, and then filter from priority number 1, priority number 2, priority number 3, priority number 4.
Yeah, because on their phones, and a lot of times the way Amazon and Etsy and all of those companies work now, on your phone you have to hit another button to go to a description.
Which
So it's very confusing for people at times, and so you need to make it as clear as you can, and you do need to include your policies,
return policies.
everything in your description. You probably do have it in your store description somewhere, but
People don't read that.
They don't
People
read
just
it.
automatically assume, if they buy from Amazon, Amazon is a no questions asked return policy. And we're talking about Etsy. Etsy is more of a custom-based thing, and there are very, very little opportunities to do any kind of return. Now, obviously, if someone orders from us and there's a problem, obviously we work with them.
Yeah, we do.
Knock on wood, it's very minimal with the amount of problems that
You
we
will
have.
always have that difficult customer.
But it's generally
Always.
because they
Don't take
read.
it personal and just move on.
Yeah, don't put up the fight.
Because
It's not
sometimes
worth it.
sometimes it's hard to, but sometimes you just have to go on. But just make sure your policies are included, because people will call you out on it if you do not do what they want. They'll say, "Well, you didn't put that in your description," and
Yeah, make sure that you cover your butt when stuff like that happens, and make sure that it is in your description. So think about that, and you may not hit the nail on the head the first time, and it takes a little bit of trial and error figuring out the key points and what to put where. But that brings us to number 5.
well, first though, I want to add on number 4. Make sure you put your keywords in. Make sure you put your keywords in, because keywords are an important part of your listing. So make sure you do your research to see which keywords people are using, maybe to find someone that has sold lots of stuff. What kind of keywords are they using?
Yep.
Check that out and do your research on keywords, and make sure you add them into your description, because there is a place for them. Put them there, because they really do help.
On Etsy, it really helps. I'm not sure about the other platforms, but Etsy it really
Etsy
really
does help. Now we can move on to number 5.
So number
And this all depends on what you're selling. I mean, obviously, we sell a lot of signs, so we probably don't need more than 20 listings for. But if you're selling wall lettering or something, t-shirts or whatever, putting up 10 to 15 listings or whatever is not going to help.
You'll give up really quick, because
You
you're
have
not
to
going to
have
get
a
any
variety
results.
of designs, because you'll only have a few of those designs, maybe even out of 100, that really take off, unless they're really exceptional designs, which some people are very talented, and that could happen.
I'm not one of them.
But for the most part, for the average person, it's going to take a lot of listings in order to figure out which listings are going to do well.
Yes.
So don't give up after
I would say, on Etsy, we probably got up to what?
About 1,300 listings.
1,300 listings before we saw a steady flow of income and sales. Now I guess we've changed over the years, just because of, we don't have employees anymore, and we've kind of scaled down
Yeah,
our
the
operation.
competition for say wall lettering is so saturated. has become where you could get them for pennies.
I call it a race to the bottom.
So, for us, it was just something we decided to move further away from. But, some people, again, they're very talented. They have really good designs, and they put a lot of work into it. So, yeah, it's all on how much time you want to put into it.
And be personal. You have to be very specific in what you're selling, and be confident in what you're selling as well. So.
Number 6 is constantly keep up with the new trends and update listings when needed, because again, even Etsy's going to change their policies. You got to keep up with that. They're always changing their policies, and lately it's costing you more money with the change in their policies, with the new Google search and all of that. So
that could be a good thing to your benefit, but again, that's something that goes back out.
You have to understand you're paying for that.
You have to figure out your profit margin.
They are charging you for that, so that's another thing. Again, you have to figure all of this in. If you don't, you're going to lose money.
And we use that.
Yeah, you're going to lose money, but you've got to constantly keep up on what is the new stuff out there that's selling. Because we were bad about that there for a while. We kind of just took for granted that what we had was just going to keep going.
Yep.
We didn't keep up with what was changing.
And we were still making new things, but they were in an oversaturated market where it just became irrelevant.
We weren't being unique enough.
Yeah.
And that did cause us a problem for a while. But you also have to be attentive to your customers. You can't, that's number 7. You cannot ignore them. And trust me, sometimes you want to. But you can. Even if somebody's giving you a lot of crap, and that's happened over the years. We could do a video on stories of things we've had to deal with over the years, because
that could be another one too.
That could be, because there are some stories of people who are like, no, someone didn't do that, but
someone always trying to pull the wool over your eyes,
or they're just get a little crazy. Over their order. And I'm sure everyone's experienced it. If you've worked with the public, no matter what area you work with the public, you've experienced that.
Yes.
But you do have to pay attention to them, because you can get kicked off Etsy.
They're still a business. They're still a business.
They are a business, and they have their own policies. And if you're not good to your customers, obviously they don't want you selling on their site. Who would, right? Mm-hmm. So you need to be attentive to your customers and don't ignore them. Even though, again, you may want to.
Yeah, I get a lot of messages, and sometimes the amount of messages that I reply to pretty much precedes the day of actually getting work done. But I at least acknowledge them. I'm honest with the people when I go back and forth with them. I don't give them unrealistic goals or expectations.
Yeah, sometimes lately it's taken a long time to get materials.
Yeah.
It's sometimes it puts us further behind than we would, ever like to be. But you just got to be honest with what's going on and let them know. That's better than ignoring them, because the longer you ignore them, the madder they're going to get.
Some people are pretty persistent and they'll keep messaging you, but then it just kind of creates that bad taste in your mouth. So, we generally get back to people. We try to that same day, but sometimes it doesn't happen, 24 hours or so.
Well, on the weekends we go do stuff. So a lot of times you have to take that time away. But, still, if you're especially if you're having a problem with a customer, just address it and move on.
Yes. And always document through Etsy too. That's another key thing. Is we've had customers, they've reached out to us outside of Etsy, and then Etsy is unable to confirm nor deny.
Yeah, you want everything. It's kind of like eBay or Amazon. Anything. Don't let anyone talk to you outside of that platform, because then
it takes the ball out of your court.
Etsy would not know. You can't prove any of this. Etsy needs to be able to go in and see the messaging and everything, especially if you're having a big problem with a customer. Keep it inside Etsy.
Yep.
That's their guidelines anyway, so you want to do that.
Absolutely.
Number 8 is, 1, get your orders out on time.
That's common sense, right? I mean,
well, you would think, but some people just, again, he mainly does signs. So obviously that's weeks worth of work, but we also still sell some of our wall lettering and things like that, because
hence why we still have all this material back here.
Right, we still sell certain things, and then we have our printer, so we sell printed designs as well. But you have to make sure those get out on time, and you have to make sure those go out within a decent amount of time. You don't want to wait more than 2 days to ship something out.
Yeah.
I think we go to the post office a few times a week, because we have to drive to the post office, and Our regular post office burnt down, so we have to go further.
We have to
now.
travel out even further, and so all the traffic has migrated to that bigger post office, which makes going to the post office an hour trip every day.
And pickups are just not as easy as what they make it out to be.
They're not.
The postal service is a mess right now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another reason you need to make sure you get stuff out on time, because in some cases it takes forever for people to get it. Yeah. That's why we actually were selling decals on eBay, and we stopped doing it simply because the post office wasn't really delivering. Yeah. Or they were taking forever, and we were having to refund. And that's another downside to selling online, is sometimes you're going to lose.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're going to lose whether it's your fault or not. And that's another thing you have to really understand and learn to just kind of suck up and figure that into your profit margins as well, because you will lose money when something is not your fault.
Absolutely.
You know, we've had the post office destroy boxes.
I think they play hockey with boxes.
We've had people get empty boxes.
Yeah.
And so, and again, the post office.
And then we get the empty box back.
And what they tell you is that the post office, when you say, "Listen, this is what happened," they'll tell you they offer a service, they do not guarantee it.
Yes.
So even with insurance, it's really hard. I think in all the years because I also sold vintage antique items, and I think I've only got one claim that was given back to me.
That was paid back.
Was paid back to me.
Insurance on the postal service or FedEx or any of those other things.
They always come with stipulations.
There's a stipulation, and generally you're going to lose.
Just figure it into your profit margins that
just consider it a loss.
A certain amount a month is going to go to losses, and if you figure that in, then you don't have to worry so much about it when it happens, because it will happen. They will lose your packages. They will destroy your packages. People will say they didn't get their packages because even though it says it was delivered. Now, this is one thing Etsy's really good about. If it says it's delivered, Etsy usually will back you.
Yes.
Now, Amazon's a totally different story, and we'll go into another video on that another day. Our experience when we sold on there. Yeah. But, Etsy is very good about that, but sometimes you're going to lose. So, get your packages out on time, and just, again, that was it. That was number 8 was it. Once you ship it, other than, doing follow-ups with customers that have problems, and they'll have problems. So, but that goes with being attentive to your customers. So,
yep.
But that's it. That is the steps to selling on Etsy.
In a nutshell, that's how we became thousandaires.
Well, again, we're not the 24-hour work type.
No.
So we're but I'll tell you, if we were, we could make a lot more money on Etsy.
Money's not everything.
Right, money's not everything, we don't do that. But if you are one of those people, and again, you just follow the steps, and you just do what our experience has said to do. Yeah,
we've had a lot of experience.
You could make a lot of money, and we tell ourselves that all the time. We're like, gosh, we just worked, a little bit longer, during the day, or we did this or we do that. Sure, we could make a lot more money, but
we have other interests and other things that we like to do. But.
Yeah. So anyway, that is our advice to you.
So that's the top 8. Like I said,
that's our advice to you, and everybody's different depending on the product that you sell, but that's why you do your research on the product that you're going to sell. But again, understand how to, all the things that you need to do before you start selling, because you'll get it.
There's a lot of things there that you need to understand, and hopefully this helps you all out.
Right.
Appreciate you tuning in. If you don't mind, like I said, like the video. If you haven't already, subscribe. Again, my name's Sean. This is the Sign Guy channel. This is my beautiful wife, Mary, and I'm sure you'll be seeing more of her. So until next time, y'all take care, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.